This week, we are joined by Michelle Winder, and our topic for today is safety tips for real estate professionals. Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great, and good morning to the audience out there.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So, Michelle, she is a third-degree black belt and the founder of Survival Under Pressure, which is self-defense for women. So, Michelle, do you just want to start out telling us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been in the real estate industry?
Yes, that's great. I actually have been in real estate for 30 years, and I just let my license lapse this past year, just a few months ago, because my husband's a broker and we were thinking we don't really need two licenses. We mainly invest now. But I have heard so many stories. I've had a background in self-defense and martial arts for the past 25 years. So I would hear these stories from female realtors, especially male too, but especially female realtors would do these things that seemed so nuts. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You need to protect yourself. So I kind of have a passion for bringing the two things together. And I know how real estate works because I've done it for so long while my kids were growing up. And I know how self-defense works. I'm definitely an expert at self-defense. So not maybe an expert at real estate, but I did it for a long time and enjoyed it.
There's some expertise in there. Do you want to start off by telling us about realtor safety statistics? So I know you said 2018 isn't out yet, but what about 2017?
Yes, I love quoting statistics. These are from the FBI and the Department of Justice, so they're not like something I make up off the top of my head. And what I love about it is I think when people are aware that there's a real danger out there, maybe they'll actually think about it and protect themselves. And it's actually really easy to protect yourself, which is the good news. So you just need to be aware that you need to do that so that you do it. So anyway, there are 91 average since about 2014, there have been 91 realtor deaths per year just from violent offenses to realtors. So the thing is, and they're directly related to real estate. It wasn't like, someone's in a gang and they're also a realtor. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about 91 average deaths because someone did an open house alone or whatever. So that's a huge one to me. 38%, and this is huge, you guys, 38% of realtors said that they have been in a situation while doing real estate where they felt fear and they knew that something was escalating and they were afraid. 38%. And then the good news is, although it's not really great news, is 5% of all realtors across the country. Remember, that's a lot of people. When 5% is a lot, 1 out of every 20 has actually suffered a violent situation while doing real estate. So that's why those are the most important things that I think you guys need to know.
Mm-hmm. And it's important. And we thank you for being here to teach us all about safety to help hopefully bring those numbers down because those are high.
My blessing. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah. After hearing those statistics, what kind of steps can agents take to make sure that they're out and safe when showing properties and in their day-to-day? That's what they do all day, right?
Yes, perfect. So the first thing is know your neighborhood. So when you're going to show a property, whether it's an open house or you're just going to meet a client there, and I'll get to that in a minute, be sure you know the neighborhood. I know, some agents, and it's kind of wise to kind of have a small area that you cover. It's not like, oh, I cover all of San Diego County. Really, you do better anyway if you really specialize in a specific area. But that aside, you want to know the actual neighborhood where you're going. You can't say, I know Carlsbad and Oceanside's right next door. There are a lot of different neighborhoods within each city. So you need to literally drive that neighborhood before you show it. And I know it doesn't seem like it's always practical, but it's necessity. Then the second thing is never, ever, ever, ever drive a client. I mean, unless it's your good friend and you've known them for years or whatever, but don't ever drive a client you don't know. And one thing I really want to emphasize here is predators, and it's something across the board in self-defense, predators know where to find victims. And realtors are one of the biggies because they know that realtors show open houses alone. They know that they can call, and I'll tell you stories later that'll chill you. You'll think, how can this person be so stupid? And yet it could be you, just not thinking that you think, oh my gosh, I have this incredible client. But someone will call you to see a property and they say, I want to meet you over at the property. And you say, okay, and you meet them there, or better yet, they meet you and then they drive with you. Well, once you have an attacker in your car, it is like the worst place to be. In all self-defense, I say never, ever, ever get in a car with someone. If someone's holding you at gunpoint and says, get in my car, no, say, shoot me now. Because the statistics are that chances are they won't shoot you there wherever it is. Mall parking lots are a big place for kidnapping. But they may shoot you if they drive you away somewhere. So just say, shoot me here. Literally, do not get in the car with a stranger. That includes a stranger that acts like they want to buy a $3 million home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to just go through the 5 or?
Yeah, it's just kind of using a little bit of common sense. We know not to get in the car with strangers.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't think of a client who's going to buy a multi-million-dollar home as a stranger, and that's where you don't know anything about them. So that then 3, don't show property or go anywhere alone as far as real estate. If you do an open house, you know what? Have a partner. Just have a trade-off with someone that you know. I know it's a hassle to set an open house if it's not your listing, but you'll do it for each other and just make that commitment. If I can say nothing else today, it's don't sit an open house alone and don't show property alone. Bring someone with you. So statistics are in all self-defense that 97% of predators will not attack you if you have one other person with you. And that's even if it's a child, because predators, and this kind of gets into the mindset of predators, which I've researched for years, but they're the bully that you knew in school. They don't pick on the cheerleader and the football player. They pick on the victim. They pick on the scared person who's scared and by themselves. They're not picking on the guy in a crowd. So you just want to remember that it's the bully. So they aren't going to risk anything that could challenge they're trying to have power over you, and they're not going to risk it if maybe that kid could escape when they're attacking you. So chances are 97% less chance of being attacked if you're with one other person. So remember that. Always bring someone else, even if it's your kid. And raise your kid wisely. So then, and another, let me look at my notes. So many things. Oh, so the other thing is, if you have to meet a client alone, because I understand, I've taught self-defense for 25 years. I understand that people aren't going to listen to me. They're going to say, it doesn't make sense. I need to meet this client alone. Then what you do is you meet them at a nearby coffee shop. Mm-hmm. You take a picture of their driver's license and you send it right then to your broker, right in front of them. Let them know you are taking a picture of their driver's license and sending it to your broker, and take a picture of their face and send it to their broker. If they're not a predator, they're going to have no problem with that. You just say, I need to protect myself. Then you have them follow you in their car. Do not let them in your car. I didn't change my mind about that. And so anyway, so you still want to take separate cars. And then we'll talk about open houses in a minute. But so basically those things, just use common sense, but go beyond just something you would think of and say, you know what, I could be a victim here, and I don't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's easy. It's so easy, and they know the mindset of who's the easiest people to.
Yes,
realtors are definitely a target.
Yes,
just based on the statistics alone, and then just how easy it is because they spend so much time alone.
Right.
So,
and
I know
they'll often go, I mean, if you advertise your open houses, they can actually pick them out that way, but they actually will also go to open houses, and especially if you're in rural areas or, not someplace where you could easily make some noise and get some attention. I mean, they're looking at those places. Look at Rancho Santa Fe. You have and I know you aren't all in San Diego, but you have your areas of town where it's the best listing. You are going to do everything you can for this person. And yet you're out there alone on a large property, kind of in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, so you don't want to make yourself a victim. You want to make it so hard that a predator wants nothing to do with you.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you touched on open houses already. So other than bringing someone with you to your open house, not being alone, what other things can you do to not only protect yourself, but to protect your client?
Yes, perfect. So there are actually some very specific things for open houses. One is don't wear expensive jewelry and dress professionally always. I know I see women sometimes, especially in summer and warm places, they might think that their clothing is appropriate, but try to dress pretty conservatively. And I hate to even say that, but it is a world, there is a difference between men and women, and predators are looking for that. Mm-hmm. But leave your purse in the trunk of your car. So only have your keys with you. You don't want to, many crimes against realtors, there are predators preying on you, but there are also many crimes are actually crimes of opportunity. So what happens is they come in the house, you're in the back bedroom showing someone something, and your purse is sitting there on the counter. They'll grab and go. And the thing is, what if your keys are in your purse and you're stuck there? What if your cell phone's in your purse? So there's just things that you just need to be aware of. So have your cell phone and your keys the only thing near you. And if you can keep your cell phone in a pocket, it deters someone knowing that you have access to 911 quickly. So mm-hmm. It's just good to keep your cell phone on yourself while you're with them. The other thing is when the open house is over, you need to check and make sure all the doors and windows are locked. So this is where I'm saying you've got to have someone else at the open house with you, because you want them to go with you, and you go in every room. So another trick of predators is they will hide in a closet in a room, and then everyone's gone, you're closing up, and they attack. So when you get to the house, and I didn't say this before, when you get to the house, you want to make sure all the doors and windows are, not all the windows, but all the doors are open, escape doors. Because if someone chases you, you can get out another escape you already know. And I say that when you walk into any room, you want to start becoming aware of things. Know where the fire extinguisher is, know where the exits are, and just start. It'll become second nature. I can walk into a room and I know who's in the room, where the exits are, where the fire extinguishers are, where the dangers are, if there needs to be a mass exodus, where people are going to crowd through, and how to get out safely. So just start thinking that way. And then when you leave the open house, lock those doors back up, lock the windows. You don't want them coming back in. Another one, and I'm going to hopefully share a story at the end, what happened with my husband and I when we were doing an open house together. But make sure that your clients, all their valuables are completely locked up and out of sight, and all medications. There's a whole nother type of predator that you don't really need to worry about personally, but they literally are looking for medications, and they'll grab anything they can. Everybody knows they're in the medicine cabinet, in the master bedroom, master bathroom. So just hide it, put it in a bag, put it in the bottom of your closet, whatever. So it's not in a typical area where a predator would look. So those things are really important with open house. And then again, I'm emphasizing this over and over and over, but have someone else with you so that when you do the closeout, the lockout at the end of the night, you make sure nobody's there and to do the day, but you want to know that you have someone with you to make sure that no one else is in the house.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on a little bit about the purse thing you were saying. I was taught, very young child, not one, of course, don't leave your purse in plain sight in your car. So that's why you say put it in the trunk. But I also learned not to put your purse in the trunk where you're staying. So if you're going to an open house, you want to put your purse in the trunk at your house, because once you're at the open house, they could be watching you already, and they can know that you put your purse in the trunk.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you for pointing that out. That's definitely, because you're not going to need your purse while you're driving. If you happen to get pulled over because you're speeding, you tell the cop, my purse is in the trunk. But you don't need it next to you. That's great advice. See, you're already thinking.
So now every time where I'm going to need my purse at some point throughout the day, but maybe not at that specific stop, I put it in my trunk when I'm at home, so that way I don't have to worry.
That is so great. Actually, my little sister just had a smash and grab of her purse in front of her house 2 days ago, or it might have been 3 or 4 days ago, right in front of her house, because she didn't know, don't leave your purse on the seat, and her door was unlocked.
Oh my God.
But the detectives told her your alarm won't go off if they smash the window, but the alarm does go off if they open the door. So these guys they're experts. What you have to realize is what you're amazing at, they're just as amazing at being predators. They know where to find the victims. They know what to do. They know how to get the money and the people and whatever they want. So we need to know who that victim is. Know who that predator is, and what they're looking for in a victim, so that we are not victims.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's so scary. It's crazy. So I know you have a story you want to share about your experience in the real estate industry and why you're so passionate about making sure people are aware of what can happen and the dangers out there.
Yes. Okay. So I have had multiple opportunities where people have called from out of town, and I remember one client who happened to be from Chicago and was coming in and wanted to buy a house in the 1.5 range. And this was probably 15 years ago. So it was actually 1.5 was a really expensive home. And, my eyes are looking at, the commission, I'll get on that. Mm-hmm. Something told me, don't meet this man. Don't, just something felt weird. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need to. Well, as it turned out, he said he was flying in from Chicago. So I told another agent about him. And she said, oh my gosh, I'll take this client. I said, okay, but this is what I need you to do. Don't meet him alone. Meet him with someone. It just happened that I don't know if I was going to be out of town or what. And I just thought, I'm not going to meet him there alone anyway. So I'm telling this girl, don't meet him alone. It'd just be crazy. You need to bring someone with you, because he wanted to meet. There were brand new condos downtown San Diego where it was like a penthouse or something was for sale. So he wanted to meet her at the penthouse. So I told her, okay, that's fine. Take this client, but don't meet him alone. Well, she did anyway, because she thought I was being overreactive. I was a victim multiple times in my past, which is what led me into self-defense. And she met him anyway. Well, he did attack her, and she hadn't done anything to protect that. I say carry a whistle. It's a great thing because it's a deterrent. When an attacker sees that you have a whistle around your neck, they're like, okay, why does she have that? They know that that's to be used. And so that will deter them too. She had nothing. So what happened is he actually attacked her. She escaped. He didn't rape her, thank God, but he intended to. And she was able to get out the front door and to the elevator. And then when he came out, someone else came up the elevator to show. And I say, you know what? That was a total God thing that someone happened to show it. It was a time, it was like, I think it was 2009. Because it was when the real estate market was pretty bad. They had all these new buildings. So it's not like it was being shown all the time and the guy knew it. And I just, I thought that could have been me. And then I thought, no, that couldn't have been me, because I knew, I would never go there alone. And yet you get in a situation where it's like she was already halfway downtown and she thought, you know what, no, I'm just going to go by myself. So and then there was also one that really surprised me, because I don't think of men typically as being victims. And I know they are. I know statistics show that they are. And they're so even more underreported than women. So we don't even have a clue how many men are victims. But in real estate, I thought predators are always going for the weak. I mean, they're that bully that doesn't want to be exposed as being weak. So they go out after the weakest person they can. But I knew a guy, this was Keller Williams Carlsbad, so it was maybe 6 years ago. And he was doing an open house alone at a horse ranch in Rancho Santa Fe. And some guy showed up, and it was probably $2.3 million home. And it's not, I don't mean to say it's always the high-end homes. It's just that that's when your logic kind of goes out the window because you're looking at that commission and thinking, I'll do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. So anyway, this man came out, and there were other people looking at the house, but this man wanted to go down and see the barn, the stalls. And so this guy walked him down there, which was I think it was like 6 acres or something, the property. So he walks him down to the stalls, and the guy ends up cutting off his carotid and blacking him out, taking his car keys and taking his car. And he had like a Corvette or something. It wasn't like a really, really nice car, but the guy stole his car. And I just thought, okay, so I'm always worried, I'm always worried for women that men want to rape them, but it still was traumatic for him. It took forever. They never did find the car, and they never did find the guy. So he had nightmares. I ran into him like 3 years later. He was still having nightmares. He quit. He had been doing real estate for years and quit doing real estate. And so it's life-changing. You never think you'll be a victim until you are, but once you are, it changes your life forever. Not that you can't get over it, but it still changes your life forever. So I just say it's so easy to bring another person and to have that with other agents that, hey, or a friend. It doesn't have to be a real estate agent that goes with you. Bring a friend or a family member, and just avoid it, because it's way easier to avoid than we think, and it's very hard to undo once something is done.
As you're telling these stories, I'm thinking, oh no, why did they do that? But in all honesty, you think that's something I would do as a real estate agent too.
Right.
It's easy because you're not thinking that way, but it's important that we start thinking that way and bring this down. And I know before we started, you said, I don't want to freak the audience out. Right. But it's more of just being safe.
Yes. Yes. And one thing that we forget about predators too is I was very involved with the Chelsea King murder and the Amber Dubois murder in San Diego. And I actually was brought into public schools to help people deal with it and to teach them practical things they can do. But one of the things is people have this idea that predators are going to be scary. You're going to recognize that they're a predator. But they're usually the most charming, often good looking, depending on what type of predator, but you believe if they're looking at high-end houses, they're going to be dressed that way. So you don't think it. If some bum comes off the street and, his teeth are missing and his hair's matted and he wants to buy a house in Rancho Santa Fe, okay, you're going to have a little thought, well, maybe something's wrong here. But when these people just seem nice and friendly, but that is how most predators are. They're really good at communicating. Remember, this is their job and they're good at it. This is what they research. This is what they practice. So,
yeah. So to wrap it up, it's know your surroundings.
Yes.
Don't go places alone.
Yes.
Anything else?
Actually, those two things will pretty much keep you safe. And then remember crimes of opportunity. So you want to protect your clients by saying, hide anything that's valuable. And that includes putting your purse in your trunk before you leave your house.
Yeah.
Smart. Thank you for adding that.
Of course.
And with those things, you literally can protect yourself. Bringing one other person just almost makes it impossible for a predator to get you.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you joining us today. And I know you also have motivation, so we're going to have you back. And,
yay, thank you.
Yeah, but thank you very much for bringing awareness to our agents. And hopefully we can bring those statistics down in the coming years just by continuing to bring awareness and following everything that you've taught us today.
Yes, and I just want to say to those out there, tell every realtor that you know, because they're very simple things. And a lot of people aren't listening to this right now. So it always just breaks my heart when I know that it's so easy to protect yourself. And then you see someone who's attacked and you just think, oh my gosh, if they just did this one thing. So, so share.
Definitely. And help bring awareness. You guys can comment on this video. You can tag people in it. You can share it on your page so other realtors can see this. And like I said, we can bring down those statistics slowly but surely, I'm sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you everyone for joining us. Next week, we will be joined by Mickey Addison. He is an author, and the topic will be The 5 Bs, a straightforward guide to life. So you won't want to miss that one. Bye, everyone.